Hello and good morning. Greetings to you all here in attendance and those of you who are watching at home. My name is Kobe John and I'm going to be instructor. And for today's topic, we're going to be looking at how we can stabilize an impaled object. Now, before we begin, I'd like to thank you all for coming. And if you can, leave your phones on silent or possibly turn them off throughout this presentation. These are important documents and topics that we're going to be discussing. Now, with that being said, I went ahead and analyzed what we got going on here for our audience and noticed that we are firefighters. So given that we are not all rocket scientists or brain surgeons, I've simplified this down to where we can all understand. All right, since we got that out of the way, let's begin, all right? All right, now first off, I'm gonna be explaining what our objectives are for this topic. Now, concerning stabilizing an impaled object, we're going to want to know about scene safety and how it procreates to our job. With that being said, we're also going to be looking at how we can develop a more conscious mind to ongoing patient care, especially with an impaled object. We're also going to be looking at stabilization. With that being said, we're also going to be looking at the procedures for, the actual procedures for an impaled object. All right, we're going to move on to the next slide. All right, now before we can even consider everything else, we have to ask ourselves, what is an impaled object? Well, to put it in simplest terms, an impaled object is some sort of object that has been embedded inside someone's body to the point where they have called us for assistance and or EMS will be on the way. For this, it can be something as simple as, say, a knife, pencil, or say maybe some sort of rebar at a construction site that has impaled itself inside somebody's body. All right, now we're going to go ahead and come on down to scene safety. For scene safety, we're looking at how we can not become part of the problem. And for our terms, scene safety, it's looking at how we can ensure that we ourselves do not become harmed in any way. Before we want to run in, we want to know how it happened, what happened. It can be as simple as turning off the electricity before going into a burning structure so we don't accidentally spray water on it or anything like that. And that's why we got these two little pictures here concerning scene safety. For this one, we got a vehicle we're checking out, making sure airbags haven't gone off, checking for the battery. All right, with that being said, we're also moving into the PPE. Now PPE can be something as simple as some gloves, glasses, goggles, maybe even a face mask. Whatever we need to accomplish our goals in a safe manner. Now this also refers to something as simple as putting on a reflective vest, because as pictured in the middle, if you don't wear it, especially on the highway, the guys with the big pointy hats come at you and write this cute little message that says a fine for not wearing safety vests. So whenever we're on the road, we want to have safety vests as part of our PPE. All right. Now, gentlemen, ladies, others, we're also going to be looking at getting into the brass tactics of the EMS side. I understand as firefighters, it's going to be a little scary, but we'll get through it, okay? All right. Now, what we're going to be talking about here is very important. It's considered in almost all medical and trauma, the ABCs of life. With this being said, these are the most common three things you would always look for in any patient, whether it be trauma or medical. Now, with the airway, that's going to be our first letter, A. There we go. Airway, we want to ensure that we have a clear airway. Make sure nobody's choking on the blood, nobody's actively gurgling on anything like that, or we got some sort of debris going on in the mouth. We want to ensure that we got a clear airway Now we're moving on to the second part. B, everybody knows B. Bravo, ball. In this case, it's gonna be breathing. We wanna make sure our patient is actively breathing. This can be accomplished by utilizing something as simple as a BVM. You wanna squeeze this buddy? Get some air into their lungs. With air going in, you're exchanging gases. Air in, carbon dioxide out. And with this, we have a little mnemonic. Open the airway, clear the airway, keep the airway, meaning something simple as airway adjunct. Make sure we keep that tongue out of the way. And then breathe, just providing some breaks. Nothing to it, fellas. All right, C. Now with C, it's simple, but it can be a little misleading, but we're gonna try to keep it as simple as we can. C stands for circulation. Without the blood, he may be gone. Now, blood has an important characteristic to it. It is able to carry oxygen throughout the body. Then it'll also get the waste from that exchange. Carbon dioxide goes through the lungs, comes out your mouth, you exhale it, get rid of it. So, with this being said, that's why we also have an importance on taking blood pressure, making sure everybody has a minimum to normal range to ensure that their body is still circulating. This also can be utilized using something as simple as normal saline, which is pictured up here, just in case nobody has seen it yet. It has the same function as blood, but if you can, blood would be the number one thing a person would need. Moving on. Now, say we've addressed the ABCs, the most important three of any situation. For something as complex or as simple as a impaled object, now we have to ask ourselves, all right, I've done the ABCs, now what do I do? Well, if you can, you have a second, more than likely you'll be doing this on the way to call. Take a breath, stop. You addressed all the life threats, now we have to focus on the one that looks the most serious, an impaled object. With this being said, it is highly, highly, highly emphasized that for an impaled object, you do not want to actively remove it. Remove it, you could possibly disrupt the blood clotting effect that has already taken place. With that being said, if you were to remove it, do not attempt to put it back. That's a big no-no. You could be doing even more harm than good. Now, you may be asking yourselves, hey, why don't we just pull it out? Well, simple as that is just, we don't want to cause any more damage. But there is an exception to that, actually two exceptions to that. If you were to ask yourself, why would we ever remove it? The only things you would really remove an impaled object for is if it's impeding your CPR progress, or if the patient is in active danger in which you have to remove it. With it, in that case, I would think they're impaled on some immovable object in which you have to hurry up and cut it, get them out of the way, say a fire, gas leak's going on, about to explode. Now, for those of you thinking, CPR, that's a big brain moment, I like it, like what you're thinking, you gotta get a Chad going on, that's some good stuff. Now with CPR, you might also ask yourself, okay, how do I do CPR if there's a big hole, simple as B, cover the hole. Nothing to it, right fellas? All right, I'm getting a lot of nods, I like it. Good crowd. Woo. All right, now we come to the fun part of impaled objects. How do we stabilize it actually? Well, with this, we're gonna be utilizing something as simple as dressings, 4x4s, even this, towels, paper towels. With this being said, you're gonna wanna apply a lot. They call it bulky. But with this being said, you're just gonna be applying it as much as you can to where it will provide little to no movement. If you're looking at something like a eye injury, you'd also look at possibly covering the other eye as both eyes move simultaneously, or they should. All right, moving on. All right. Now, I stated earlier, hey, what if this thing is really big? It's immovable. They're stuck. Well, with that being said, we're going to have to look into the possibility of getting just a rescue. With that being said, we're looking at possibly cutting or shortening to fit in the back of an ambulance or to get him out of the whatever position it, like this gentleman found himself in. Their grounds, fucking dead. Anyways, yeah, I like it. He gets it. All right. Now with this, we also have to worry about whenever we're cutting. Say we get the saw, chainsaw, whatever you want, whatever to cut. Now, whenever you're cutting, you have to actively remember this is a patient. They have feelings. They know what pain is. They've been through some stuff. But with that, those fine, almost invisible vibrations, they will feel it. It will come down. They'll feel like pins and needles, napalm going through your veins. But with that, you're also looking at something we call heat. Now, if you were, say, cut above where you need to cut, that heat could possibly transfer down through, say, use this gentleman as an example. He's got rebar. It can also travel down the rebar and actually worsen his impaled area. All right. So in simplest terms, cut it, but be mindful. These are living patients. All right. That was cut right slick. We did good. Everybody's understanding, but we're just going to go over a brief little summary as to what we actually learned. Now, I'm sure we all know about the importance of scene safety. We're all firefighters here. We all know wear your vests, get some gloves, get some face mask if you have to. Now, we'll also learn about the importance of stabilizing ongoing patient care. We want to make sure he's okay. Check his ABCs. We don't want him to die before we even start. Make sure he's got a clear airway, he's breathing, he's still got blood going, still circulating. We also learned about the procedures on how. With that being said, we're just going to reiterate, bulky dressing. Bulky dressing, make sure you can make it stay still as long, or as good as you can. And then we also looking at what you do want to do and what you really do not want to do. You don't want to just go in there, rushing in, pulling out whatever's keeping everything in. And if you do not attempt to reinsert it. We've all heard the horror stories of EMS side. And also the exceptions to why you want to pull it out. CPR or active life threat. All right, that's a quick like in a hurry. Now, got any questions? You sir? No. I like it. Thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button for more. Stay up to late. All right? Okay.